Well, let's take you somewhere special now. The adage goes, I'm just adapting it, you can take a South African out of South Africa, but you can't take South Africa out of a South African. I'm going to take you straight to Taranaki in New Zealand, where two South Africans are joining us from, and it is in commemoration of former President Nelson Mandela's release from prison in February of 1990. The community there hosting a bike run in the city yesterday. So let's talk to the organizers now. And this is Jessica Niemack, who is a South African living abroad, as well as Petunia Twala. To the pair of you, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So I'm going to start with Jessica. Believe it or not, Jessica and I attended Sunday school and youth together a few years ago, not many years ago. But Jessica and Petunia together are a part of the Taranaki community. And I'd like for you, Jessica, to just share with our viewers what this community forum and platform is, and Petunia, for you to share why it was important to commemorate Madiba in this way, especially in the year of the 30th year of our democracy. Jessica, we'll kick off with you.
I met our beautiful sister Petunia about a year ago in Taranaki. I'm based in Auckland, and I met her at an energy conference. And I just immediately knew I needed to connect with this amazing South African sister. And I belong to an organization in Auckland called Our Coffee. We are the African Communities Forum Incorporated. It represents 54 African nations, and the leadership take care of their communities through this platform. Through this platform, the South African community have united together to embrace our culture, to celebrate our culture, and also to educate people in Aotearoa about South Africa. And that's how we came up with the concept at a meeting to actually ignite the flame across New Zealand to celebrate Madiba. I'll hand over to Petunia because she's done an amazing job.
Oh, thank you. So I think the concept came about when we had a meeting. We were actually planning to celebrate International Madiba Day, which is in July. However, we decided that, you know what, I think it's time that we recognized and celebrated the day in which South Africa changed, really, the day in which Tata Nelson Mandela was released from prison. So February made sense for us. And another thing is that Taranaki's weather is very, let's say, unfriendly in the winter months in July. So February was a perfect fit. I think it is important for now, I mean, having children myself, it's important for them to know that we are here in New Zealand because of the 11th of February 1990. So it was something that we needed to kind of remind ourselves of as Black South Africans here in Taranaki, but as well as the upcoming generation, to not forget where they come from and who is the reason that they're here.
Really powerful thoughts on rootedness, and I love what the both of you said about making sure that there were these deep cultural exchanges, you know, that were there on the backdrop of the accomplishments in democracy that South Africa has made, and in, you know, throwing off the yoke of apartheid. But Petunia, just tell me why motorbikes? So why a bike run?
So it was actually something that Sister Jessica had said, in that back in the apartheid days, transport was an issue for a lot of our people. So they had to depend on biking and walking as a mode of transport. And then another thing was that here in Taranaki, not only the African community, but the ethnic communities tend not to be, active or into recreational activities, because of course when you arrive here you're just trying to survive, so to speak. So walking and biking kind of like takes a back burner. So so that's how we came up with the concept of the riding and the walking, to really celebrate the fact that, you know, back in those days we had no choice but to rely on biking and walking as a mode of transport. But now we can actually do it, and it's not something that is enforced, but it's something that we can take up as a recreational activity.
Really powerful, and it's really great to hear how that connection is made. For selfish reasons, I'm going to ask a question about food. Jessica, who's making the amagwinya and the mutton curry and the biryani? That's what I want to know.
Okay, sister, I can roll those rotis and I can definitely make a curry, a Durban curry. But we had boerewors rolls and we had cook sisters and we had South African food, all organized by Sister Petunia's organization, Sisonke, the amazing team, and just brought the community together. And I think just the smell of a braai takes you back. It's amazing how sound, smells, colors, visual, just all the senses take us back to where we come from. So it was an amazing day yesterday to be transported back to South Africa that's so far away from us. But we really felt so united, and it was a great day to also educate the upcoming generation.
And on perhaps a more sobering note, Petunia, when we think about, and as you both know, we're celebrating or commemorating 30 years of democracy in South Africa. We're going into an incredibly important election period. Some would say the most important election period in South Africa's history since democracy. Petunia, some people will look at the both of you and Jessica, and say, well, why did you leave South Africa? Would you ever come back? And perhaps you can answer that through the lens of, that eventually, ultimately it comes down to the choices we make for our personal lives and our families. But not to give you the answer, answer in your own words. Why are you there, and what do you think of South Africa from all the way there?
Yes, so very good question. So we came over here about 9 years ago. And when we came over, we were actually content in South Africa. But we ended up here and we thought, hey, there was a job opportunity for my husband. So we thought, hey, let's give it a go, see how it goes, and can always come back home. But then we since had more kids, so I'm a mother of 5 beautiful boys. And, I think settling here now with them and the opportunities that I can provide for them here versus being back home where it would have, I guess, cost more to provide them the same opportunities, made sense for us to stay here for them. But home is where the heart is. The plan is definitely to go back to South Africa. And I think Sister Jessica will back me up, but it's amazing that it is when you leave South Africa when you actually get to appreciate it.
Yes, say that part again, Petunia. I'm sorry to interject, but say that part again, because the perception is you leave and things are just rosy wherever else you go.
The grass is definitely not greener. There are a lot of challenges, and that's what encouraged me as a co-founder of the Sisonke Taranaki African community to kind of like create a hub for us, because it is that hard. But definitely, it's no questions asked. When we came here, and I'm echoing the voice of a lot of South Africans that I speak to, there is no other like home. That you honestly tend to appreciate it after you've left. Ubuntu is what I miss most about home. It's not something that, it's in our DNA. It's not something that you find everywhere. And that's definitely, besides the food and all those things, but just the Ubuntu, I think also our resilience. South Africans we are a resilient people. And I think that's stems from what we've been through in the apartheid years. But, a problem halved is a problem shared in South Africa, but it's not quite the same sentiments here. So, yeah, I think that.
I love that. Yeah. Problem shared is a problem halved. I love that sentiment. Jessica, you've been gone in a long time.
Yes, I have. And I won't also give my age away, but it's way over 20 years since I left the most beautiful place, I think, on earth. And I spent 2 months, December and January, in South Africa as my dad had passed away. But what an amazing reminder to see the beautiful greenery, just how enormous the landscape is. The people are so beautiful and were so hospitable in the 2 months that we were there. But to your question, what were my reasons for leaving? I left in my early 20s very angry, very hurt by the apartheid system, And and that was really why I left. I just did not want my children to have to grow up in a society where they were value was placed on the color of your skin. It took many years for me to be able to reconcile apartheid. And I often say to people, Sister Petunia's heard me say this often, we are, Aman, you and I, our generation, we are the last apartheid generation. After we're gone, who else is going to tell our stories? And it has been here in Aotearoa through Mana Whenua, our Māori people, that my healing journey has taken place, listening to their stories of their land issues, their culture issues, and their oppression has made me value what our forefathers fought for. People like Madiba, coming out of prison after 27 years to say that he wants to reconcile and have peace was the most precious gift he could have ever given to us. So if he could have come out of prison and had that attitude, who was I to deny myself and the rest of my South African community that sort of reconciliation? But also I have grandchildren now that I can tell stories to.
I just want to tell our viewers that I don't have grandchildren yet, so I don't know if Jessica is saying we're exactly the same. I don't want to give away too much there. But Jessica, before I give the final word to Petunia, and congratulations on your family, this concept of healing, a lot of us still deal with the pathologies, obviously, of living under an apartheid system, the condescension, the racism, those things that engineer and leave behind you so many different responses that you have to keep re-evaluating as you get older. Did you find love and acceptance in the way that you wanted to from your countrymen and women where you are now?
Absolutely. I think the one piece of wisdom my mum gave me many, many years ago, we grew up in blended families. Not everybody looked the same, but the love was the same and the acceptance was the same. And my mum always said, the eyes are the window to the soul. And if you look people in their eyes, you will have their respect and you'll be able to see what they mean when they say things. I've carried that over to Aotearoa with me, and I hold it really dearly because as women of colour, we should be able to hold our heads up high. We should be able to walk with straight backs and not be afraid. I heard an analogy many years ago, when you bow, never bow too far down, bow like a sunflower does. And if you're honouring someone, but always maintain your dignity. And so it's that part of South Africa that I hold dearly, the freedom that was so hard fought for, that was fought with dignity.
Yeah.
And so, yes, absolutely. I am so thankful to God that I now have reconciled those issues and can support fellow South Africans with those issues.
Petunia, as you shared with our viewers, your reasons for going were vastly different. It was really about, pursuing a different future for you and your children. How do you share with the community there, reconciling, life in South Africa and your place in it in a post-apartheid society?
Yes, no, I think I was blessed that post-apartheid I got to kind of like go to a school and grow up amongst a very mixed and diverse community. And I think that alongside with what the values that my mother instilled in us, her coming from the her that obviously I never really experienced, because she lived through apartheid, I didn't, so to speak. But it was such a blessing that she was able to guide me. And again, the values that Madiba had fought for, she lived by as well, which was peace, forgiveness, diversity, and unity. And that's what she instilled in us as well.
Yeah.
And, being here in Taranaki particularly, it's been amazing. The support that we've received were from South Africans from all over. You had white South Africans, black South Africans, Indian, colored South Africans just come together to celebrate Madiba in such a powerful and strong way.